I think if you put them together in the ring with me, maybe it's gonna
Maybe both together.
maybe it's gonna
it's
be
tough.
a little complicated.
The best thing is a fighter needs to take almost everything. Almost everything. I take the 80% of everything. Everybody's making money too. It's not that they don't making money. They making money, but the fighter need to make more than everybody.
And there's in the top 15 is only one guy who is still active and still fighting, and that one guy is Canelo Alvarez.
The undisputed super middleweight king, Canelo Alvarez, just dropped the boldest claim of his career. He said he's not only surpassed boxing legends in legacy, but that he's on track to become the sport's first billionaire.
While the boxing world constantly debates who truly belongs among the all-time greats, Canelo Alvarez's business manager, Richard Schaefer, stepped in with a statistical mic drop. He pointed out that Canelo isn't just active, he's historic. According to Schaefer, only 2 fighters in the entire history of boxing have defeated more world champions than Canelo, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao.
But again, he's never fought anybody like Canelo. You look at Canelo's resume. Canelo fought, now it's 21 former or current world champions. There's only 2 fighters in the history of boxing who have more than that. One of them is Floyd Mayweather with 24, and the other one is Manny Pacquiao with 23.
That stat alone places Canelo in rarefied air. And with more years ahead of him, Schaefer made it clear Canelo isn't chasing anyone's legacy anymore. He's solidifying his own. Then came the real shocker. Schaefer, who helped promote some of the biggest fights in boxing, including the 2013 clash between Floyd Mayweather and a young Canelo, claimed that a future showdown between Canelo and Terence Crawford wouldn't just be historic, it would be bigger than any event he's ever worked on, bigger than Floyd versus Canelo, bigger than any modern super fight.
You look at Canelo's resume, but it is, I think, the biggest fight that can be made. I think it's the biggest fight the sport has seen going back to as long as I can remember. I think it's just simple. And I've done some big fights with Floyd Mayweather, and I did Floyd Mayweather and Canelo. I promoted that, so I think this one is bigger than that.
For Schaefer to put Crawford versus Canelo above a fight that generated over $150 million and helped define an era, that's not just hype. It's a challenge to the entire sport to recognize what's coming. But numbers and pay-per-view records aren't everything. Schaefer also made it personal. When it comes to toughness, durability, and chin, he says Canelo is in a class of his own. While some fans believe Crawford's skill and speed could expose the Mexican star, Schaefer shut that narrative down fast, reminding everyone that Canelo has never been dropped, not even close.
Well, I tell you one thing, Canelo is no Madrimov. Canelo has the best chin in boxing, no question about it. Has never been dropped, never been hurt, and it's going to be challenging for Crawford to really hurt Canelo. And so I think it's going to be a fascinating match. It's going to be the biggest fight in modern history. I think I was fortunate to promote back in the day Mayweather and Canelo, and I think this one is going to be substantially bigger.
In Schaefer's eyes, Crawford may be elite, but he's stepping into deep water. And Canelo, he's the shark waiting at the bottom. And if legacy and skill weren't enough, Schaefer added another layer to Canelo's dominance, his brain, not in the ring, but at the negotiation table. According to Schaefer, Canelo isn't just the most successful active boxer, he's also the shrewdest businessman the sport has ever seen.
He is, without any question, the smartest businessman in boxing I have ever met. And we are going to get him over that. He's going to be the first fighter to break the $1 billion net worth. I have zero questions about it.
That's not hype from a promoter. It's a calculated forecast from someone who's handled the biggest paydays in the sport. Schaefer believes Canelo's brand, investments, and independence are setting him on a financial path that not even Floyd or Tyson could follow. As if the resume, chin, and billion-dollar ambition weren't enough, Richard Schaefer took it a step further, pointing to a recent all-time pound-for-pound list. from BoxRec that stirred serious debate in the boxing world. The list was stacked with icons like Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, and Mike Tyson. But out of the entire top 15, only one active fighter made the cut: Canelo Alvarez. Schaefer didn't just celebrate that, he weaponized it. For him, it's proof that while other fighters are chasing clout, Canelo's name is already etched alongside the greatest to ever do it. Everyone else is playing catch-up.
You know, I mean, Canelo still is the best pound-for-pound fighter. There's no question about it. And I just told you why, because he fought all these former world champions. BoxRec came out a couple weeks ago with an interesting list, with a pound-for-pound list. Historically, looking at the entire history of the sport, you see people like Sugar Ray Leonard on there, you see Joe Louis on there, you see Hagler on there, you know, you see Tyson on there, and there's in the top 15 is only one guy who is still active and still fighting, and that one guy is Canelo Alvarez.
But not everyone's buying into the hype. Boxing Ego pushed back hard on Richard Schaefer's bold claim that Canelo versus Crawford would eclipse Mayweather versus Pacquiao. According to him, that kind of talk is pure fantasy. He argued that Mayweather and Pacquiao were once-in-a-lifetime icons, legends who crossed into global superstardom and brought in numbers that can't simply be replicated.
If that wasn't bad enough, he compared it to Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao and says it can do equal business, if not surpass and exceed that particular fight. And I call cap. I definitely don't see that. You have two legends of the sport, two guys who are anomalies in the sport, meaning what they've accomplished is not going to happen for a while. Like Pacquiao being an 8-division champion. I want to sub to my promoter by himself. Floyd Mayweather, without Pacquiao, was doing 1 million+ buys in several fights and putting on the biggest events in boxing. Terrence Crawford, February 32nd is when he did 1 million pay-per-view buys. It's never happened. He has never done 1 million pay-per-view buys by himself. Now, fighting Canelo, you're gonna get your best number. I don't doubt that. But how are we gonna compare to Mayweather and Pacquiao when I just explained to you they came from a different era, and individually during that era, Manny Pacquiao, I want to my 40 by that one, right? He was doing 1 million or close to 1 million in several fights.
In Ego's view, no matter how skilled Canelo and Crawford are, the idea that their matchup could surpass the most lucrative fight in boxing history is not just unrealistic, it's delusional. And while some fans continue to push the narrative of Canelo's prime being far from over, boxing royalty is already looking toward the end. Mike Tyson recently named Canelo as his current pound-for-pound king, but even Iron Mike admitted the Mexican superstar might be approaching his final chapter.
There's a couple of them out there. You have to go with Canelo, but there's still so many young up-and-coming lightweights. Canelo's almost on his way out. They got some other guy, and Benavidez, he's a great fighter coming up. He'll be a great man. There's so many great fighters out there, man. But that's one thing they have, is great fighters out there.
He didn't stop there. Tyson also called for Canelo to stop dodging David Benavidez and give the undefeated monster his shot. For Tyson, that's the real fight that needs to happen before time runs out.
There's some new guys out there that the young man David Benavidez, I call him the monster. He's tough. I would love to see Canelo fight him.
You think that fight will happen?
God willing, man. If it doesn't happen, it'll just be a shame to boxing.
And then came Floyd Mayweather. The man who once outclassed a young Canelo gave him his flowers, calling him a hell of a fighter with a resume full of big names. But Floyd didn't just stop at compliments. He reminded fans that boxing isn't just about what you did. it's about what you can still do. He noted how quickly fighters can age in this sport, and even hinted that Canelo might already be on the decline. And in true Floyd fashion, he couldn't help but throw one last jab. For a fight that's supposed to determine who's the king of boxing today, Floyd's message was loud and clear. He's already beaten one of them, and the other's got a long way to go.
What I have to say to Canelo is this. You proved yourself already. You proved yourself. You fought a lot of great fighters. You tested yourself. You went up in weight to numerous weight classes. Like myself and like other fighters throughout the years. Same thing with Pacquiao. You know, Canelo is a great fighter.
Canelo's a hell of a fighter. There's a lot of great Mexican fighters. That's not for me to rate fighters. I just take my hat off to so many fighters that paved the way, you know, for me to be where I'm at, just, you know, throughout life.
Canelo is a hell of a fighter. He's a hell of a fighter. And everyone is now saying that he's not the same fighter. He's not looking the same.
His next fight coming up is going to be with...
It's a lot of wear and tear. Boxing is a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah. Yeah. And those guys are younger.
Yeah.
And hungrier.
Boxing is a lot of wear and tear. You can get old overnight. You can. This is how boxing is. The same writers out here, they praise Canelo. He can pick and choose who he want to fight. And I'm gonna tell y'all the truth about Canelo. Motherfucker, easy, man. Cakewalk, easy. Y'all sitting up here, y'all praising this dude. This dude was nothing. I was almost 40 years old when I cooked this dude. Easy.
Not one to stay quiet when questioned by the greats, Canelo Alvarez responded directly to Mike Tyson's recent push for him to face David Benavidez. Tyson had named Canelo his current pound-for-pound best, but also warned that the Mexican star is nearing the end of his career and needs to face Benavidez before it's too late. But Canelo didn't take the advice lightly. Instead of acknowledging Tyson's legendary status, he fired back with a cold, calculated dig that stunned fans and pundits alike.
And even Ryan Garcia, do you respect their opinions? Like Mike Tyson saying it, do you respect his opinion, or how do you feel about like Mike Tyson?
I respect his opinion if he fights sober. The guy is asking me for Golovkin, and I fight with Golovkin, and then Callum Smith, and then Billy Joe Saunders, and then Caleb Plant, and then so never is enough for you guys. But I don't need to prove anything to anybody anymore. I've been done everything in my career.
And it's exactly that kind of pushback from Canelo that's fueling Mike Tyson's passion for the Benavidez fight. Tyson hasn't just casually mentioned David Benavidez. He's gone on record multiple times backing the undefeated Mexican monster as the real threat in the division. Tyson didn't even hesitate when asked if Benavidez could beat Canelo. He doubled down and made it clear that Benavidez isn't just another contender. He's his pick against anybody.
Benavidez could beat everybody. My money with Benavidez until he gets beat. And then if he gets beat, I'm still with him.
Tyson didn't mention Canelo by name, but the message was unmistakable. He believes Benavidez is that guy, and Canelo, despite being undisputed, isn't exempt. What's more, Tyson added a deeper, psychological angle, saying the greatest fighters in the world often hide the most insecurity.
Listen, the greatest fighters in the world are the most insecure fighters. It doesn't seem that way, but it is.
Does he beat Canelo in your opinion?
I think he beats everybody he gets in the ring with. So I don't have to say nobody's name or anything.
It was a layered shot, one that implied Canelo's refusal to fight Benavidez might be more than just business strategy. According to Tyson, it might be fear dressed as pride. And that sentiment only adds fuel to the debate over whether Canelo is preserving his legacy or avoiding the one man who could truly end it. And Canelo didn't stop there. When Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson was announced, Canelo took a shot at the whole spectacle, saying Tyson was only doing it for the money and that it had nothing to do with real boxing. A brutal jab at one of the sport's most iconic names, proving Canelo isn't just chasing legacy. He's ready to call out anyone, even legends, if it means protecting the purity of the sport and his throne.
I don't want to say any bad things. I think he doing good things for his own team, but boxing is a little bit different when you fight in a real fighter.
Adding even more fire to his already bold stance, Canelo Alvarez made one of his most provocative claims yet, declaring that if he were thrown into the ring alongside the biggest icons in boxing history, including Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather, he would still come out as the biggest star. While he admitted such a comparison might get complicated, Canelo made it clear that it wouldn't be anything he couldn't handle.
In a hypothetical scenario, who do you think would be tougher for you?
I think if you put them together in the ring with me, maybe it's gonna...
Maybe both together?
Maybe it's gonna be
tough?
a little complicated.
But one or the other, they're about the same, you think? They're the same, you think, for you?
It's hard to say, but it's risky for Mike Tyson.
Really?
For
Why?
sure. Yeah, because he's 57 and 58, I don't know. And boxing is it's not a joke. I always that's what I train. I train to don't get so much hit.
Yeah, you're very good. Defense is amazing.
Defense. I train so much in defense. I don't want to get hit.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is sport.
But not everyone's sold on the vision. Mike Tyson, one of the very legends Canelo compared himself to, has been publicly skeptical about certain moves in Canelo's recent trajectory, especially a fight with Terence Crawford. Tyson didn't bite his tongue when asked about the matchup, stating that while he respects Crawford's skills, the size difference between him and Canelo is simply too wide.
What do you think about Terence Crawford calling out Canelo?
I don't like that fight.
Why not?
I don't like that fight. It's just too much weight, and he had a close fight with the last guy he fought, Terence, because this guy was big and he was awkward. He was really awkward. He shouldn't have fought that guy.
To Tyson, this isn't a legacy-defining fight. It's a mismatch. His blunt assessment cut through the hype, suggesting that if Canelo really wants to prove something, it won't be by taking on a smaller man like Crawford. It'll be by facing the one name he keeps avoiding, David Benavidez. Canelo hasn't shied away from revisiting his past showdown with Floyd Mayweather, and his take is bold. Reflecting on what might have been, he suggested that if he had faced Mayweather in his prime, after racking up wins against the biggest names in boxing, the result could have been very different.
Yeah, like you say, if I had that fight with Miguel Angel Cotto first and all these kind of fights and then fight Mayweather, maybe go in the different way. But, we never gonna know.
He don't have power in the punches, but when you that kind of fighter, you don't need it.
You think that was the toughest fight you faced?
No.
This statement challenges the widely held belief that Mayweather had the definitive edge in their fight, hinting that timing and momentum matter just as much as skill. It's a subtle dig that fuels debate about who truly had the upper hand, and it reinforces Canelo's confidence in his growth and evolution as a fighter.
What I have to say to Canelo is this. You proved yourself already. You proved yourself. You fought a lot of great fighters. You tested yourself. You went up in weight to numerous weight classes. Like myself and like other fighters throughout the years. Same thing with Pacquiao. Canelo is a great fighter. Canelo is a hell of a fighter.
But just as quickly, Floyd shifted gears, hinting at the physical decline many believe Canelo is showing. While giving Canelo credit, Mayweather warned that boxing is unforgiving. He pointed to the wear and tear that accumulates over time, especially when younger, hungrier contenders are coming up fast. According to Floyd, no matter how dominant a fighter once was, the sport can age them overnight, a veiled warning that even Canelo isn't immune to boxing's harsh reality.
He's a hell of a fighter. And everyone is now saying that he's not the same fighter. He's not looking the same.
His next fight coming up is going to be with...
It's a lot of wear and tear. Boxing is a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah. And those guys are younger.
Yeah.
And hungrier.
Boxing is a lot of wear and tear. You can get old overnight. You can. This is how boxing is.
Teddy Atlas offered a more nuanced take on Terence Crawford's standing, shifting the focus away from names on a resume and onto the qualities that define true greatness. According to Atlas, Crawford's elite skill set, tactical intelligence, and composure under pressure make him a rare breed. While critics may argue he hasn't consistently faced top-tier opposition, Atlas believes Crawford's overall talent and mindset are more than enough to pose a legitimate threat to someone as seasoned as Canelo Alvarez. For Atlas, it's not just about who you've beaten, but how you fight.
I just think Crawford's real special. I think Canelo's really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. I see it. The timing, the instinct, the eyes, the ability to be chilly cold. It's in his desire, it's in his mind, it's in his makeup, it's in his background, where he came from. That there's something about, just like a Sugar Ray Leonard had that something. I like Crawford every bit as much as I did before that Canelo fight, and even more now. That's how much I like him. And we had to give him a minute. Nobody wants to give anyone a minute in this business. You're supposed to be great, you gotta be great every minute. But I gave him a minute to kind of get his feet settled at a new weight class.
Responding to that, Richard Schaefer didn't shy away from giving Crawford his due, but made it clear he sees Canelo Alvarez as operating on a completely different level. Schaefer pointed to Canelo's combination of size, big fight experience, and the sheer volume of world-class opponents he's faced as the defining edge. For him, Crawford might be skilled, but there's a significant gap when it comes to credentials and legacy.
Crawford had a few good wins, but when you look at his wins and you compare them to Canelo wins, I mean, we've got to be honest, you know. Again, I don't want to take nothing away from Crawford. He's a hell of a fighter, but Canelo is a different league. I mean, that's just a fact. And that's why I think he has all these fans and these followers, and he's going to continue to make history.
Adding another perspective, Oscar De La Hoya acknowledged that while Canelo remains an elite fighter, the signs of wear and tear are starting to show. He admitted that time catches up with even the greatest, but still believes a potential matchup with Terence Crawford would be razor close. In his view, Canelo's physical strength and natural size advantage could tilt the contest in his favor, though he stopped short of calling it a one-sided affair.
It's a tough one because we can all see it. Canelo's declining. We can see it because Father Time just catches up to you. That's just the name of the game, the nature of the beast, right? Crawford, I mean, he's the same age as well, you know? Different types of lifestyles, different styles. You know, Canelo's getting into some wars now, which kind of like chips away at the block, you know? Do I favor him over Canelo? I don't know. I think it's a 50-50 fight at this point, given where they're at their careers.
But if you had to give somebody 1%.
Last one here.
1%.
1%, I would go with Canelo. Yeah, just because of the weight factor.
Sean Zittel didn't hold back when discussing the role of Canelo Alvarez's fan base in the ongoing controversy around the David Benavidez fight. He argued that much of the blame lies not just with Canelo, but with the fans who have become so defensive about protecting their favorite fighter that they've begun discrediting Benavidez altogether. In Zittel's view, the narrative that Canelo has somehow earned the right to avoid certain opponents is not only flawed, but damaging to the sport.
I've said it, I've spoke the truth, and now I just let everything play out. Like, I feel good about it. But so Canelo, his fans enabled this situation. They felt so threatened by Benavidez that they downplayed him, called him a bunch of names, discredited him, so that Canelo can be enabled to do what he wants. Canelo earned the right to do what he has to do. Again, it doesn't work like that in any other sport. Tom Brady still has to play Mahomes. LeBron still has to play Anthony Edwards and get bounced in the first round. Get your old ass out the first round then if you're not that guy no more.
Yeah.
The game waits for nobody. But they love Canelo, they love Canelo, they love Canelo. And this goes for Crawford's fans too. This goes for any fans that their fandom grows to a toxic point. If and maybe when he loses to Terence Crawford in September, you'll regret that you enabled that. Because if you would have just let Canelo lose to the bigger, younger Mexican fighter, then now you'd have a new Gallo to get behind, a new fighting rooster to get behind.
Benavidez, where you could have.
If you lose to Benavidez, you did the right thing. Hey, I handed the torch. I gave the young guy a shot. I gave him I'm a true warrior. I fight anybody. You lose Crawford, it's like that was a cash grab you went for because you didn't want to fight Benavidez. And for I to a lesser degree, because the Boots fight was never as demanded as the Canelo Benavidez fight. I feel the same way with Crawford and Boots.
Sean Porter raised serious concerns about whether Terence Crawford can handle Canelo Alvarez's power over 12 rounds. He believes Canelo may come out aggressively to wear Crawford down early, especially since Canelo has shown signs of fatigue in recent fights. For Porter, Crawford's ability to endure and adapt would be pushed to its absolute limit.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he's still got that kind of steam. But, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo have, and how we find how they even out.
Veteran commentator Jim Lampley didn't shy away from addressing the ongoing buzz around Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. He admitted he has doubts about the size gap between the two fighters, but still sees the matchup as an explosive clash between two high-level technicians who aren't afraid to take risks.
Crawford is going to fight Canelo because even if I have some doubts and misgivings about the size matchup, it is two action fighters who like to fight aggressively at times, not all the times, going against each other, and we'll see who can open the other person's tuna can, so to speak.
Boxing icon Manny Pacquiao weighed in on the potential Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford clash with the perspective of someone who's made a career-defying weight classes. For Pacquiao, the matchup is favorable for Canelo due to his natural size and strength, but he didn't count Crawford out.
Manny, what do you think about Canelo versus Crawford? Crawford's moving up like 20 pounds. What do you think? Good. Good for Canelo. Good for Canelo?
Drawing from his own experience beating bigger men, Pacquiao advised Crawford to rely on speed, angles, and sharp movement, emphasizing that style and agility could be Crawford's keys to neutralizing Canelo's physical advantages. His comments add a legendary layer of insight into what it would take to pull off the upset.
Any advice for Crawford moving up in weight? You did it so many times and you were successful. What do you tell Crawford? Any advice?
My advice to him is just focus on speed and the speed and style.
Canelo Alvarez is clearly aiming not just to rewrite boxing history, but to redefine what it means to be a champion in and out of the ring. With his sights set on becoming the sport's first billionaire, and his confidence unshaken by legends past and present, this saga is far from over. Whether you believe Canelo's dominance will continue or think Terence Crawford's speed and skill will upset the balance, one thing's for sure, boxing fans are in for an unforgettable showdown. Now we want to hear from you. Who do you think has the edge if Canelo and Crawford finally face off? Is it Canelo's power and legacy, or Crawford's speed and style? Drop your predictions and reasons in the comments below.